Welcome to the Solid Verbal.
The Solid Verbal.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
I've heard so many players say, well, I want to be happy. You want to be happy for a day? Eat a steak.
It's that woo-woo!
And now, Dan and Ty.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal, boys and girls. My name is Ty Hildenbrand. Joining me, as always, my good friend. He wasn't with us last week. Dan Rubenstein. Sir, how are you?
Back from the dead. I'm great, Ty. Thanks for asking. I was in, where was I last week? I was in Charlotte. I don't think I can talk about why I was in Charlotte yet. Ooh. It was really fun and mysterious, but fun. And then I went to Nashville, which was not fully planned, but Jody and I had a work trip to Nashville, and I was like, great, I'll be in Charlotte. I'll meet you there. And she said, great. And so I booked a flight. And then 48 hours later, her work was like, no, we don't need you in Nashville anymore. And I called up American Airlines, and they said, cool, it's going to be slightly more expensive to cancel your flight than to just go. And I was like, cool. So I went to Nashville.
Went to Nashville anyway. Did you do anything cool in Nashville? I've heard good things about Nashville.
It's a great town. I ate and I walked around a ton. I walked like 10 miles, according to my phone. I went to the Country Music Hall of Fame, which, great. I went to 3 different overpriced coffee places and got crazy caffeinated.
Okay.
I went to Husk for lunch with our pal Travis Haney.
Yeah, that's cool.
He's doing really well.
Good.
Saw our pal Stephen Godfrey, Nashville resident.
So this is like the Dan Rubenstein Goodwill Tour. Now that you're sort of out there and trying to promote your fine services, the Goodwill Tour is afoot.
It was a whistle stop, Ty. Is that what Truman did? Was that what they're called?
The whistle stop.
So this
great
in the past couple months. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Dan and I are back in full force. We've decided to call this show. Actually, I made the call earlier today on GChat to call this show Wednesday Night Raw.
That's true.
Which, of course, implies some sort of controversial show programming this evening.
Would you say, Ty, that we're going raw and we're going to go deep on topics without the protection of editing?
I would not go that far, but I would
just
say
making sure.
I wouldn't go that raw with the labeling of the show.
But are we not going deep on topics without the protection of editing?
That is correct, Dan. There will be no editing on this broadcast.
Just me making sure.
If we screw up, if we make any mistakes whatsoever, it seemed to resonate quite well when you did it a couple weeks ago with your interview with Bruce. Then when you said, we're not going to do any editing. I'm not going to cut anything out.
No.
It's just going to be us, raw, unfiltered. So we're going to do it here on the show. We're going to prove to one and all that we can do it on the Solid Verbal. And we're going to prove it in the most difficult way possible, because before us, we have a giant Google Doc that you compiled. I didn't see how many pages this ended up being. Looks like about 10 here.
Yeah, this is down from about 19 or 20. We got a ton. Like, we just only asked today, and we got probably 5 times more questions than we could ever
I don't know.
Hope to get
it
through.
Was like a verbaler repression of some sort that we just vented. And now we got all these questions that came in about college football and grocery stores and, God, you name it. In addition to a few news topics that we want to discuss at the top, we've got more than enough to cover here, and it's going to be you and I shooting from the hip for most of it.
I'm ready to go. We have questions about big teams, medium teams, little teams. I asked for questions about grocery shopping and clothing, and I don't even remember what else. But, I think it tickles a part of people's brains that doesn't always get tickled listening to sports podcasts. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe.
It does tickle the inners. Again, we're at solidverbal@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Reddit at reddit.com/r/solidverbal. You can also find the podcast out on Apple, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it. If you can find a podcast there, the Solid Verbal is also there. We're a college football show. We broadcast year-round, once a week in the off-season, which, of course, is where we're at now. So let me start here, Daniel.
Please.
Before we get into the questions, there is a topic that you and I decided to chat about online today. And I feel like
always,
I feel like we need to bubble this a little bit to the surface of the verbaler hood here. I read in my normal course of college football reading and study and research and what have you here in the offseason that a gentleman by the name of Blake Barnett. Do you remember Blake Barnett?
Yeah, Corona, California's own, sort of deep into Orange County.
Didn't he win the Elite 11 way back when?
Maybe.
I think he won the Elite 11. If he didn't win it, he was in the finals of the Elite 11. Blake Barnett, noted 5-star quarterback prospect, at one point I think was going to go to Notre Dame, then decided he wanted to go to Alabama instead. Started his college football career at Alabama. Well, clearly it got a little bit clogged in terms of the depth chart.
Yep.
At the quarterback position at Alabama. Blake Barnett decides he's going to transfer to Arizona State.
Makes sense.
Blake Barnett has now decided that he's going to transfer away from Arizona State. And if reports are to be believed, he's going to go to USF.
Okay. That also kind of makes sense.
It does make sense. Blake Barnett, Dan, for those keeping score at home, has 24 career pass attempts, 2 career touchdown passes at the major college level, and now 2 transfers. 2 transfers.
Yeah, technically more than that. I think he has been at a JC for a little while. So technically more college enrollments than touchdown passes.
So then we got to thinking, is this a Blake Barnett thing? Is this a California/San Diego area quarterback thing, Dan?
Yeah. I mean, Orange County's slightly north of San Diego. Corona's, I think it's by Irvine. I had thought for a long time Blake Barnett was from San Diego, but I was mistaken. But yeah, Tate Forcier with his 3, 4, 5 different schools.
He was another one, right?
He's from the San Diego area. There is something definitely strange and varied about top blue chip high school recruits from San Diego. Either they're amazing, Ricky Williams from San Diego, Marshall Faulk, Royce Freeman, the running back history is amazing. Brendan Clay went to Oklahoma and he had like a weird DeMarco Murray situation with accusations of infidelity with his wife. Like it got very strange. So there is something, and I started looking up blue chip California quarterbacks, and it's just, I mean, this year we'll have Ricky Town, who you remember from such schools as Alabama, USC, Arkansas, a junior college, and now might be the only quarterback on the roster at Pitt after 17 guys left the Pitt quarterback depth chart after last year. So there definitely is something strange. Like we found one guy who there's a couple transfers to the Ivy League, at which point they either switched positions or burnt out at the Ivy League level. It's just if you start pulling threads on like I don't know, we could look at maybe the last 10 years since Solid Verbal became a show of blue chip California quarterbacks. There's a lot of stories out there.
There are a lot of stories. And if you pull on the threads, perhaps, I mean, it's so interesting. Perhaps we should focus our attention at some point, not on the coaching carousel, but the California quarterback carousel.
Can I make an A+ transition?
Go for it.
This was all in the context of talking about grad transfers.
Right.
And we were talking about Blake Barnett and transferring. Another guy, California, didn't work out, transferring away. Keller Christ, Tennessee.
Oh, right.
This isn't recent, mind you.
Right.
We just haven't been talking about grad transfers, and there have been many of them. I'm not going to...
It's a thing, man. It's a California quarterback thing. They cannot be monogamous with their first... their first signing for some odd reason.
So what is interesting to me in terms of the national scope of college football too is, there's the big Alabama situation, which is now it's sort of double pronged because the ECU quarterback Gardner Minshew was going to Alabama. Now he's going to Wazoo. So he's coming west. Jalen Hurts' dad was talking about how Jalen Hurts, if he were to transfer because he didn't get the Alabama starting job, he was going to be the most sought after free agent in college football history, which I don't know, Cam Newton's.
Okay. Yep.
Cam Newton's right there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But Jalen Hurts is still at Alabama. And some people think he might just ride out the year and then graduate and transfer without having to sit out. So that could be. But it's been a robust grad transfer season. And I'm curious, Oregon's been involved. Notre Dame's been involved.
Yeah.
There was a big Nick Harvey from Texas A&M is going to South Carolina. They're cross division rival, if one can actually exist in a new SEC. So it's a thing, and it's worth following.
Very, very much a thing. We've got a big paragraph almost of names here that are going to be going through their own grad transfer process. Traven McMillan, noted Virginia
That's a big
Tech
name for Colorado, yeah.
running back, going to Colorado. I saw Kenny Bigelow, another name here that we know from USC, going to West Virginia. Quentin Dormady, amid some of the transition at Tennessee, will be transferring away from Knoxville, going to Houston. You mentioned Keller Christ going to Tennessee. Who else do we got here? Of note,
Brandon Dawkins to Indiana from Arizona.
Brady White, another quarterback at ASU, a very highly recruited quarterback at ASU, going to Memphis. Yeah, there are a number of names here. We already talked about Wilton Spate going to UCLA a couple weeks ago. So this is the time of year where you start hearing more and more about this. We talked a little bit with Stuart Mandel a week ago about how all that impacted Shea Patterson up in Michigan and the Michigan situation as a whole. But we are at a situation now where, guys changing schools here late in the game.
I do feel bad. There's a Temple kicker going to Alabama.
Alex Jones.
Which is totally fine. Like, it is a definite step up to go from Temple to Alabama, but damn, is 2018 a bad year to be named Alex Jones?
Yeah. You could,
not great.
Could do better. Go by the middle name, maybe.
And a totally common name just ended up screwing you. Just ended up getting you. So, there's a website that has all this. It's
gradtransfertracker.com.
Go to there and learn, because there are a lot of very familiar names entering your conference of choice, exiting your conference of choice. They do a great job. That's all I have.
The other name here, it's not a grad transfer.
Oh, who?
Joe Burrow.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Joe Burrow transferring out of Ohio State.
I think he actually did graduate.
Okay,
I'm not
that's
positive,
right. Excuse me.
I think he did, yeah.
It is a grad transfer. He is reportedly drawing interest from LSU, Cincinnati, where I think he might be visiting, or along with LSU.
Obviously, Luke Fickell connection is robust.
Also, Arizona State. Obviously, Arizona State would love a quarterback to stick around.
And who wouldn't want to go to Arizona State? I mean, aside from the uncommon situation there at the moment, but I mean, it's great to hang out in Phoenix while everywhere else is cold.
Arkansas and Wyoming, two other schools that have sort of thrown their hat in the ring here for Joe Burrow.
No, it definitely feels like, because he hasn't played significant time, but he's well regarded and was recruited to Ohio State and just isn't as good as prospects at quarterback with more tantalizing talent, perhaps. It is funny that he came up through that system and everybody is just sort of looking at him like, well, he might be good. I mean, who's to say? We know our guys aren't. So, if he ends up at LSU, I think he's visiting LSU either this coming weekend or shortly thereafter. They are somebody who now without Danny Etling, they do not have any even close to sure things on that depth chart. So, Who knows? Could be interesting.
All right. Well, before we get into our vast, and I do mean vast, list of questions here, raw and unfiltered on this Wednesday evening, I have one important ad that I must get out here into the ether, Dan.
Okay.
This weekend is Mother's Day.
Oh, very true.
FTD. You've heard of them. They can help you express your feelings for mom through a floral work of art that is delivered straight to her door. You could send a text message. There are a litany of things you could do that would just be nice, to express your thankfulness for having such a great mother, express your love. But there is no better way than to show mom how much she means to you in your life than by having a breathtaking flower arrangement from FTD's expert floral networks delivered right to her door. They've got amazing bouquets and arrangements that are going to brighten her home and her day. And Dan, I have an important question for you. Did FTD, as part of our arrangement with them, deliver a random bouquet of flowers to your door?
They did indeed.
They delivered it to my door.
Yeah.
And I got to be honest, when I brought it in, I was a little nervous that the solid wife was going to think that they were coming from another female.
I mean, look at you, Ty. How could she not be nervous?
Look at me. How could she not, right? I was a little concerned how this was going to go over in the Hildebrandt household. A beautiful vase, a beautiful bouquet of flowers. We brought it in. We looked. It was from FTD.
Yeah. No, I got an email from my former apartment complex because they had an old address, which is fine. We just recently moved down the block, and they're like, "You have flowers here," and I was like, "I don't think so."
Yeah, right.
Don't believe. And like they're made out to you, and I went and picked them up, huge and beautiful. And while you can get your mom whatever you'd like to celebrate Mother's Day, there is something about flowers, Ty, and it doesn't have to just go to home. It doesn't have to just go to wherever your mother lives. Sending it to the workplace is such a power move. Like, oh, look at that. I guess Ty cares about me more than your son. Huh.
The pro move for both of us, because it was a beautiful bouquet of flowers, right?
Absolutely. It was overflowingly beautiful.
The pro move would have been to claim it as, "Oh, honey, I ordered this for you."
Yeah. Let's see the card.
I ordered this for you. I couldn't pull that off.
Right.
Anyway, it is Mother's Day, so get on it. You can get 25% off a florist-styled bouquet for mom this Mother's Day. Go to ftd.com/Mother's Day.
They'll knock you over. They're great.
ftd.com, a trusted name, /Mother's Day, all one word. FTD can arrange whatever you need for Mother's Day. That's their slogan. We can arrange that. They will hook you up 25% off if you use that URL. Send mom something nice for Mother's Day, okay?
It was the Clemson defensive line of bouquets. It was everything you could possibly want. There was beauty. There was message sending.
Solid,
it is
very solid.
All out winner. Absolutely.
So here is what we did. Mm-hmm. Dan sent out the bat signal to send in solid verbal questions, send in college football questions, send in questions on a variety of different topics. He did so on Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit. Is there anything else I'm leaving out? Another place where you posted questions?
FTD Flowers.
Okay,
I went
great.
to their shop. Yeah.
You posted all over that we were seeking questions about college football and other topics. We've got pages upon pages here. Let's start going through them, Dan. Where do you want to start? You put this document together today.
Let's start here, as everybody is anticipating. Will Northern Illinois ever fire Rod Carey? That is amazing. And I'm going to answer that question as earnestly and genuinely as I can. Okay?
Go for it.
I don't know why Northern Illinois would fire Rod Carey.
Rod Carey is under 50. He is 32-8 in conference and 5 full seasons as head football coach.
Yep. Took over for Doran.
That's a good number, regardless of what conference you play it. So if you take that number on its face, I don't know if I'd ever be inclined to fire him. Keep him around as long as he wants to stay around. It's a successful program.
Yeah. I don't know if that question was genuine, but NIU's a really good story as they went from that like huge, crazy, fun offense where they went to the Orange Bowl a few years ago. And now their defense, Sutton Smith, is ridiculous. They lose their defensive coordinator, Kevin Kane, to SMU and Sonny Dykes. But they put up a top, 15, 20 defense nationally last year. Recruiting has improved. Their schedule this year is rough, at least early on. So they go to Iowa, they have Utah, and they go back to Florida to play Florida State early on in the season. But, in conference, the schedule is pretty nice. They have Ohio and Toledo at home. No more Logan Woodside at Toledo. So I am buying a near repeat performance of this defense from NIU, and I'm going to call it right now, Ty.
Yeah?
What's today's date? May 9th?
May the 9th, yeah.
Rod Carey gets his first bowl win. I believe he's 0-5 technically right now.
All right.
I'm calling it right now.
Where are we going next?
We got a question about Georgia Tech and Chuck, and I like the phrasing of this question. Will Georgia Tech's more aggressive defensive scheme, because you got a new coordinator.
Yeah.
I mean, and he's not wrong though. Work better in concert with their offense than the bend and then break scheme they ran the last few years, obviously with Ted Roof.
The operative phrasing here is bend and then break.
Bend and break. A little variety.
So with that in mind, I think anything on the Georgia Tech defensive side of the equation will be viewed as a success. Now, I like it because I had the more attacking, aggressive mentality on the defensive side of football as my fantasy things selection either last year or the year before. I'm all in favor of that. I think anything on the defensive side, any kind of change in mentality from what Tech was doing previously should be a net positive in 2018 and beyond. Is that fair?
Oh, yeah. And Nate Woody has been a very good defensive coordinator for App State these past few years. They've only been on this level for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And so after year one of a bunch of disappointment, he's put together top 40 defenses, if not top 20, 25 defenses. They've been excellent versus the pass in the ACC. That seems to be, especially early on right now, Florida State will be improved through the air. We assume Clemson will still be solid through the air. North Carolina State returns a potential first-round pick, and Ryan Finley. Syracuse is going to throw the ball a ton. Georgia's going to throw the ball a ton these next few years. He should be able to help with recruiting in the area. He's long been a coach in that region. Atlanta and greater Georgia area has a ton of talent. And Georgia Tech, a lot of people say, like, who wants to go play defense at Georgia Tech because they're going to be going in practice against option stuff, even if it's the whatever team, the scout team. That's what App State, not a triple option, but App State is running a lot of option, sort of crazy, misleading read stuff for the past few years on offense. So there is a familiarity as they switch over, I think, to a different kind of 3-4 under Nate Woody. So in terms of, coordinator to coordinator, upgrade hires, I really like this hire for Tech.
Sure. Can't go anywhere but up. That's my thought. All right. Where we go next?
I think, was it Juice? Somebody named Juice asked something. Yeah, no, this wasn't Juice.
Juice Williams?
If we want to talk Juice Williams for the rest of the show, we can. Okay. No, this is from, I'm going to try to get this right. I promise you I'm doing my very best. I'm going to say Sikhar Gupta.
Okay.
Sikhar.
That looks right.
Sikhar is my guess.
It's better than what I would do.
Who are your top 5 breakout players of 2018?
Ooh.
And Ty, I ask you this question both in terms of who your top 5-ish players are that fit that and what breakout actually means to you.
Breakout to me means that the player becomes more known on the national stage.
A household name.
More of a household name. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That to me is breakout. Now, I don't know if this is a top 5 per se, but this is at least 5 names that I will be watching very closely in 2018.
Steve, Hank, DeMarcus. Just give me 5 random names.
Let's first start with Kyler Murray.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Kyler Murray, of course, had some acclaim coming out of high school, right? Somewhat known, transferred away, now playing in a wide open system with Lincoln Riley at Oklahoma. He stands to take over for Baker Mayfield. I think the world is his oyster. I'm excited to see what he can do in that system. So an athletic kid, not the biggest of quarterbacks, but should be a lot of fun to watch in, again, a wide open system.
Good running game alongside with Rodney Anderson. Yeah.
Kyler Murray is my number 1. Mm-hmm. I'm also going to throw out some other names in here. DeAndre Swift, a guy that we had the pleasure of meeting.
Great name.
Down at the national championship when we were down there. DeAndre Swift, I don't want to say was crowded out by Sony Michel and Nick Chubb in the Georgia backfield. He certainly got a lot of premier work, but this year he's going to be the featured back. He's a local guy to me up here in Eastern PA, and I think big things await him in the SEC. So I'm excited to see what 2018 has in store for DeAndre Swift. Adrian Martinez to me.
Oh, okay.
Is an interesting name. Now, Adrian Martinez, true freshman. If you believe what people have reported about Nebraska spring football and spring practice as a whole, he has impressed. It would seem as if he might be the early front runner to take hold of that quarterback job now under Scott Frost. Mm-hmm. I am excited to see what Scott Frost can do with the true freshman quarterback who comes in with a lot of talent. A
lot of expectations from you.
Adrian Martinez, to me, is of interest in the Big Ten West in Nebraska. Mm-hmm. On the Big Ten quarterback front, Dwayne Haskins.
He's on my list too.
Dwayne Haskins. Now, look, he's playing at Ohio State. So he's clearly got all of the tools around him to succeed in a big way right out of the chute. But Dwayne Haskins will have his opportunity now that the stage is cleared. He can step foot into that role as the head signal caller at Ohio State and show what he's made of.
Are we falling into a trap?
You're always falling into a trap when you put a brand new starting quarterback up here, but I think he's got the skill set and certainly the tools around him, the support network around him, where it won't all fall on his shoulder. And whatever he brings to the fold is going to be viewed very nicely. It will work out very well for Dwayne Haskins.
I'm more saying, are we falling into a trap that he is one of two candidates most susceptible to Beckmeyer syndrome?
Ooh.
In that it appears that the world is his oyster, and then Ohio State plays Michigan State, and it's a close game, and they run him 24 times and lose by 3. That is my concern. That we forget about BMS in mid-May. But he's on my list
here, Dan. I'm at a loss.
I want to believe, but he's on my list.
He's on your list. Okay. So that's 4. And then the other one that I'm going to throw in there, we saw him in limited action. He got hurt later in the year, but he's going to be a monster, Dylan Moses. Mm-hmm. Dylan Moses for Alabama at the linebacker position is going to be a monster. He's eventually going to be a first-round pick, probably a top 10 pick at some point. Going to be an absolute monster, a one-man wrecking crew on that Alabama defense. Again, embarrassment of riches. It's Alabama, but if you didn't know Dylan Moses' name yet, now might be a good time to familiarize yourself with what he brings to the table. So those are my 5 for now.
I will run through my 4 quickly because I've already mentioned Dwayne Haskins, and I am confident I really liked what he was able to do in limited action last year. Donovan Peoples-Jones at Michigan has a full-on, real-life, decent quarterback now in Shea Patterson.
Yep.
And we saw Shea Patterson's connection with A.J. Brown at least the first half of last year. I think he should be able to buy time even behind a suspect offensive line to allow Donovan Peoples-Jones to get behind any and all secondaries. Juwan Washington. He is the new Rashad Penny, who was the new Donnell Pumphrey, who both ran for 2,000 plus yards these past couple years, which I did the math. That's over 2 miles of just running on West Coast teams, Ty. Yep. And I have no reason to believe Juwan Washington, who by all accounts is very talented, won't do something similar. Daylon Mack, who is a known name, Daylon Mack, Texas A&M, I think has a defensive coordinator who will not necessarily feature him because he's an interior defensive lineman, but I think the organization around and the improvement we saw from Mike Elko's defense coming what he did at Notre Dame and South Bend, he should be able to, I think, thrive given his ceiling talent-wise. And my final pick, Jawan Pass, who has just a perfect, excellent last name for being a quarterback. His last name is Pass, and he is a quarterback at Louisville. The system is in place. Bobby Petrino, it's one of those things like, say what you will, Ty, about Bobby Petrino, but he knows quarterbacks. The template is there. The playbook, the system, the ability to develop, the time he's had, the flashes he's shown. We've seen it recently with Heisman level quarterbacks and guys that come in after that, at least in the short term. There's a lot to like about having that infrastructure in place, whether it was Vernon Adams at Oregon, Colt McCoy following Vince Young. There's a lot to like about these guys coming into good situations, and I think he is. So Juwan Pass is my 5th.
All right. Where are we going next?
Next question. We got some Iowa questions. And you know what, Ty? Huh? I say screw it. Let's talk Iowa.
All right.
Quickly.
Let's Iowa football. Let's go.
Philip, can Iowa increase their offensive production 66 yards last year versus Wisconsin and win the Big Ten West? So here's my question that I'm going to posit to you and to America. What has Iowa done to get better this offseason? Where is the encouragement? Is there a new offensive coordinator? No, there is not. Is there a quarterback who stays there and showed promise last year? Yes.
Yes,
there is.
Definitely.
Are they without their most talented running back who is no longer there? And Akram Wadley. He's gone.
He's gone.
Are they without their 2 best offensive linemen from last year? And certainly those guys developed from a point as well. Yes, they are. Are the receiving options robust and varied? No, they're super not. And I do have a tough time. The Big Ten West year over year is going to change. I don't think Wisconsin's defense is going to be nearly as good as it was. I still think it'll be fine. I don't think Nebraska's defense is going to be all that impressive. Purdue loses a ton on defense. So Iowa will, I'm saying it right here, Ty. You can write it down and put it in an envelope. They will put up more than 66 yards versus Wisconsin this year. So yes.
Most likely, yeah.
So in the end, my answer is yes.
I like their defensive line. I think their defensive line should hold up quite well against a conference that we know likes to pound it out on the ground. And I think their schedule actually sets up pretty well. They don't have to play Ohio State, Michigan, or Michigan State from the East. They do travel to Penn State, which will be a tough a tough game, no doubt. Anytime you play in State College, that's the case. But I think that works to their favor. And I like Nate Stanley a lot. Nate Stanley had a really quiet but very successful campaign a season ago. Right. To the extent where now it doesn't feel like the quarterback position is at all in jeopardy, is at all a question. And Iowa might be able to get back to more of the, I guess, identity philosophy that we came to know on some of the better Iowa teams in the past, where they could pound it out on the ground, but they also were balanced enough that they could beat you on a play action pass.
They had weapons to go deep. Yeah.
Yeah, they got the weapons too. So I'm excited about Iowa football in 2018. And I know that might be a bit of an oxymoron, Dan, because Iowa football isn't all that sexy, but I liked what I saw from them a year ago. And I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic. 2018.
Kyle wants to know, when will the new shirts/hats? People want hats.
Yeah.
We just recently learned this.
Okay.
When will they be available? We're recording this on May 9th. Do we have an acceptable answer? Do we have a target date? Because we have not fully discussed this off air. So let's just talk now. Do we think we can do this by June 1st?
I think we can realistically expect that we're going to have new offerings in place by mid to late June.
Mid to late June? I'm going to try June 1st, but yeah, it'll be in the month of June. And I will say right now, we have designs, plural, that we are very excited about.
Yeah.
We have products, plural, that we are very excited about, both as it relates to the show and beyond the show, that I think people will appreciate and want to be a part of. If you got some cash laying around, you want to support the show, we'd be more than happy to outfit you in soft, comfortable shirts and hats and other products.
I will tease by saying the following.
Yeah,
we have had
tease me.
We have had a tease you, right? We have had a really good response to our solid verbal designs over the last 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And now, given that we have a good way to do it, we're going to be expanding upon that. So designs plural is really our effort to expand a bit on the merchandising front. There will be more than one t-shirt. This gentleman mentioned hats. There will be hats. We've got some really exciting plans, I think, ahead of us here in the early part of the offseason that can get people more connected to the Verballerhood than ever before.
That's my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. There will be hats. There will.
That's right.
There will be hats. His second question is, what single game are each of you most excited about this season? I have a list of like 6, but I picked one. Do you have a game?
I'm assuming your number one is Oregon versus UCLA on November 3rd.
No. He just asked about, any game. I'm going to say no Oregon games for this question. Notre Dame games.
Can I please say that mine is Oregon versus UCLA because of
you can.
Requisite anguish that I know will take place on your side?
It's going to be running into an X. You guys have both moved on. You guys are both thriving. But at the same time, you're like, what if? What if? So that's fair to say. That's your answer.
If I'm not going to go Oregon or UCLA out of spite, I probably say, and I know it's going to be a tired answer here, but I am genuinely curious about Michigan, Ohio State this year in a way that I feel I haven't been in previous years because of the Shea Patterson factor.
Okay. Yeah, 2 new quarterbacks.
I'm excited to see which direction that one goes. I'm also interested in Penn State, Michigan for obvious reasons, but are we not allowed to pick like headliner games here? Or?
I have new matchups that we don't usually get to see.
What are your new matchups?
So my 2, or maybe 2.5, I have Auburn, Washington, which turns out Auburn is a place in Washington. September
2nd in Atlanta?
Yeah, that's week 1, I believe, in Atlanta. I don't think that's in Texas. There are not that many quarterbacks going into the season. We're like, he is going to definitely be good. And this game has 2 of them.
Auburn has a ridiculous schedule this year, by the way.
Yes, they do.
It's unbelievable.
They very much do. But this is basically, you get all summer of Gus Malzahn, Chris Peterson planning things. I love both of these teams' defenses, especially Washington's secondary. Jake Browning is excellent when healthy. Myles Gaskin is one of the more underrated. Although if everybody is saying he's underrated, then at a certain point he is the most properly rated underrated running back in the country. But I like Washington a whole bunch and everything they return. Auburn as well. That'll be fun on a big, if not unfortunate stage that it's not, a home and home in Seattle and Auburn. So that's my other very short answer is FAU Oklahoma. Lincoln Riley. Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Okay.
Offense, points. Great.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we going next?
Next question. I like how we're just banging, Ty.
Let's just go, man.
Wednesday Night Raw, just banging through.
That's right.
This is the juice question. The 3 best overall position groups in the country. By the way, somebody did notice, I don't know if it was Twitter or an email or comments, whatever. They're like, typical Dan fashion. Somebody asks for 1, he gives 4.5. Somebody asks for 3, he gives 5.25. I just like a lot of things.
Oh, well, hold on. Back to this question here.
Yes.
Overall position groups. So is that then to ask, if you take all of the wide receivers in the country, is that the best position group in college football? Are we doing per conference, per team? What are we looking at here?
I think when he says overall, he means which position groups on a national scope. So not necessarily, this is a great year for receivers.
Right.
Which receivers on a certain team are so good that they have to be considered the best in the country at any position.
Okay.
So last year, you could have said Oklahoma's offensive line.
Okay. This year, you could say Clemson's defensive line.
That's exactly right.
Clemson's defensive line, I think,
I think that's right.
The most obvious answer here, right?
Mm-hmm. I've got a few.
Okay.
Because I'm bad.
Yeah.
I'm a bad boy. I really like Michigan's defensive line with Rashawn Gary, Aubrey Solomon, Chase Winovich. Ton of experience and anger.
Yep.
I like Bama's running back core. That's too easy an answer. But sometimes you just got to please the Bama people because they have Damian Harris and Najee Harris and Josh Jacobs. Here's the one here's my deeper cut. I won't say it's a deep cut because they're a major team in a major conference, but West Virginia's wide receiver core. Gary Jennings, Marcus Sims, David Sills, how David Sills is still in college football in 2018 remains a mystery.
Him and Ryan Finley are about to qualify for retirement benefits.
Ryan Finley may be our age, and that's fine. But West Virginia's wide receiver core is great. And they have what could be a very, very good situation at quarterback in Will Grier if he is able to come back and stay healthy all year long. I think that is my answer, at least for the non-obvious Clemson defensive line. Washington's secondary is right there. Bama's linebacking core is right there. But I really like what Dana Holgorsen has out wide.
All right, I'll go with that. Clemson's defensive line, to me, I think, is the most obvious answer. Can I pose a question here?
Get in there, Ty.
One that I saw. I saw this question here from a gentleman named Anthony, and it is a Notre Dame related question. I do apologize, but I thought it was an interesting dilemma that he posed. Since you're talking about Michigan, he says, does Notre Dame have a better chance of beating Michigan the first game of the year or USC the last game of the year, Dan?
Okay.
Better chance.
I see what he's alluding to.
Of beating Michigan, better chance of beating USC. I sat and I stroked my chin thinking about this for a good 15 minutes. Thank you.
You weren't expecting it, were you?
Thank you. I could tell that you were up to something. Normally, you'd respond a little quicker. I think that I am more worried about the Michigan game, first week of the year, than I would be USC last game of the year, for a number of reasons. I think that because of Notre Dame replacing the left side of their line, again, losing 2 guys, top 10 of the draft, Quentin Nelson, McGlinchey, both going pro, I think they lose their top running back in Josh Adams. We've got some of their bigger play threats in Equanimeous St. Brown going pro, Kevin Stepherson getting booted off the team. With all of that being said, even despite the fact that they should have a really sound defense this coming season, I am a little bit worried about the first game of the year, it all falling on the arm of Brandon Wimbush. And it's going to be a recurring theme that you hear from me on this show, not only in the build-up to the season, but perhaps throughout the first couple weeks before he gets pulled.
Mm-hmm.
I am concerned about that matchup in particular because Michigan's got the defense.
Yeah, I think the answer is probably Michigan. It's week 1, and there's less certainty after fall camp, just what the team is actually going to look like against a good team right off the bat. That's why a lot of coaches like to schedule down a little bit that first week of the season. USC is on the road, albeit USC, I think, has the UCLA game the week before, so there's letdown potential there just as we look 6 months into the future. But yes, I think the week 1 factor, the more proven quarterback situation for Michigan at this point in Shea Patterson, then, if it's JT Daniels eventually, I'm going to take Michigan as well. And I also think the defensive line for Michigan, the more I've thought about things, and this is definitely not my theory, is just trying to appreciate as much teams that have some sort of combination of good quarterback play and a really good defense, a defensive line in particular.
Yeah.
And the better your quarterback is, the worse your defense has to be, as we saw with Oklahoma last year. And the better your defense is, the not as talented and productive your quarterback can be, as we've seen with previous Alabama teams. But I'd like this Michigan defensive line more than I like USC's defensive line, and I like Shea Patterson right now better than what USC will have.
So you're agreeing with me here, essentially.
So I agree.
All right, let me ask you another question. Might be a little personal.
This is what I cherish.
Have you looked lately at your interest rate? I'm hearing a long pause here, Dan. Let me tell you, you don't have to wait any longer. Let's talk about...
Well, as soon as you said interest rate, I was like, oh, God, there's going to be math.
Let's talk about Lightstream, new sponsor, and their credit card consolidation loan, Dan. Okay. With Lightstream, you can get a credit card consolidation loan of anywhere from $5,000 to $100,000 with no fees. A fixed interest rate as low as 5.49 APR with auto pay. And because Lightstream is a division of SunTrust Bank, you can be confident you're working with one of the nation's strongest financial institutions out there. Apply today. And listen to this. I didn't even know this was a thing on a podcast ad. But if you apply today, you can get an additional interest rate discount on top of their already low rates by using the URL lightstream.com/solid. So we quite literally can get you a lower interest rate now. A special interest rate. If you got good credit, you can get the discount by going to lightstream.com/solid, lightstream.com/solid. That's lightstream.com/solid. Of course, it's subject to credit approvals. The rate includes a 0.5% auto pay discount. It's only available when you select auto pay prior to the loan funding. There are terms and conditions that apply. Things can change without notice, but visit lightstream.com for all the important information about the limits on Lightstream loans and same-day funding and all that jazz. But otherwise, Dan, a pretty good deal that you can get here through the Verbal.
I would consider and look up further information, Ty.
Yes, of course, as always, when it comes to anything financial.
Okay, absolutely. I will take this conversation to Yo Wifey's Fave DJ.
Whoa. Where are we on the dock here?
Follow the leader.
Oh, okay.
He's an Oklahoma State fan.
Okay.
Which, by the way, this got me thinking about something else. First of all, does your wife like DJs?
Not particularly. Doesn't have anything against them as people, right? Like if you're a DJ, Solid Wife's okay with that.
Okay.
I'm not going to judge you for doing that, but I don't.
A lot of people wiping sweat off their brow.
Right. I think she would be more inclined to find something else on the Spotify playlist than whoever she would consider her favorite DJ.
My wife texted me this morning and she said, people at work are making fun of me because I've never heard of Kygo.
Who?
Kygo.
Kygo. Okay. Yeah. I got you.
Are you familiar with Kygo?
I'm familiar, but only vaguely.
Okay. I wasn't. And I was like, we are a good pair because our Kygo knowledge as a couple does not exist. Apparently, he is a Norwegian DJ who is quite popular.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. Okay.
As an aside.
Yeah.
Now, I'm an Oklahoma State fan, but also a Bengals fan. How should I feel about Mason Rudolph and Junkyard Jim Washington going to Pittsburgh?
Okay.
And I just have a very simple thought about this, but the floor is yours.
I really like Mason Rudolph as a pro prospect. We had Taj Boyd on the show.
But he's asking about emotions.
Well, I'm getting to that, Dan.
Okay.
We had talked to Taj Boyd, and part of what we edited out because he included so much good information was actually how he felt about the upcoming quarterback class. And he said in that interview that Mason Rudolph was his favorite pro prospect at the quarterback position.
That's right.
Of all the big names that you heard, Mason Rudolph was his favorite. Ever since that moment, I took Mason Rudolph and his NFL prospects a little bit more seriously. And I got to say, maybe it's a little bit of confirmation bias. I don't know, but I started to feel very similarly. So my long answer here is, given the fact that Big Ben is clearly in the twilight of his career at this moment, and at any single solitary moment in the NFL season, he could go down with an unforeseen injury. I would feel terrified as a Bengals fan to have Mason Rudolph on the other side because we know he can throw. And Junkyard Jim Washington also going to Pittsburgh, Dan?
Yep.
The hookup, the handcuff is there for potential fantasy team owners 3 years down the road. I am really excited about that possibility as someone who lives in Pennsylvania and on rare occasion roots for the Steelers. I would be terrified as a Bengals fan.
So all salient points, all good points. I'm going to approach this question on how should he feel about the two of them succeeding for a team he doesn't like.
Right.
Like, I feel like he is going to be mixed about this. And I will say this. Mason Rudolph and James Washington, Junkyard Jim, did not choose to go to Pittsburgh.
No.
It's not like they said to themselves, where can I cause the most damage in the NFL and just tear off the lid off this league. Pittsburgh, that's the answer. I can't wait to beat up on Cincinnati, they're probably both from the Southwest if they went to Oklahoma State. So I'm thinking, as an Oklahoma State fan, root for them to be excellent, root for them to make a ton of money, root for them to stay healthy. Maybe they don't beat Pittsburgh, but they stay healthy. Root for the Steelers, mostly because you liked rooting for them at Oklahoma State, I presume, and the better they are in the NFL, the better indirectly it will be for Oklahoma State
it will
recruiting.
Affect Oklahoma State in a positive way.
Be the next Mason Rudolph. Look how we prepared him for the NFL.
Another similar example here is Saquon Barkley. Because there are a lot of Penn State fans who are also diehard Eagles fans. And when the Giants took Saquon with the second overall pick, a lot of mixed emotions on this side of the state, not going to lie.
He chose to go to Penn State. He didn't choose to go to the Giants.
Now, as a Penn State alum who has hated the Philadelphia Eagles his entire life and strangely rooted for the Giants, this could not have worked out any better for me personally. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Where are we going next?
Same guy, Sikar, wants to know, can y'all do a live show in SoCal, please?
Okay, Dan.
What
are we thinking in terms of live shows? We've already spilled the beans on our plans to do a Chicago live show at some point early to mid-August.
Correct.
Fantasy Things draft. We're going to blow it out. It'll be all sorts of fun. We have, according to our survey, a number of hotspots around the country where people will be very excited, very motivated to come and see a Solid Verbal live show. One of those is Washington, D.C., which we will get to. Another one of those is
the event on any city's social calendar.
Of course. Another one of those
Verbal live show
is Texas, somewhere in between.
It'll be Austin.
Around.
It will be Austin.
It's going to be
Let's
Austin.
Not lie to the people.
Okay, so Austin, but we had
Texas.
a lot of interest from Houston, from Dallas, the Fort Worth area, as well as Austin. And then we had a bunch of places out on the West Coast. We had San Francisco throw its name in the ring. We had L.A., obviously L.A., throwing its name in the ring. Seattle had a pretty strong showing on our survey that we conducted about a year ago.
We'll see you soon. Let's split the difference. What's up, Bakersfield?
The question here is, can you all do a live show in Southern California? You're from there, Dan. How do you feel about this?
I would love to.
Yeah?
There would be nothing more fun than to do a show for me in Southern California. I don't know where we would do it, somewhere central, Culver City or something. But yeah, hell yeah, I would. That'd be a dream. I want to go to all those cities, Austin, whatever, DC, Chicago. But yeah, Southern California.
Would you do the following? First off, did you have any enemies in high school?
Yes.
Would you somehow try to get it back to that person? That, oh, by the way, I'm doing a live show in your backyard.
I think fences have been mended.
Look at where I'm at now.
I'm trying to think who that would be specifically. Yeah, I think so. I don't think I would reach out, but I would somehow try to make it publicly known.
Just sort of like passive aggressively, like, oh, Danny's coming to town and he's doing a live show thing. Really cool.
I'm doing a live college football podcast at a bakery. Turns out my life turned out better than yours. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I would make that known. But I do have an enemy.
We're going to try to do more live shows this year. How's that?
Can we stay with food because we asked for grocery store questions?
Go ahead.
I love this question so much, and I'm so disappointed that we haven't delved deeper when we originally talked about you advising, I believe it's Meg, War Damn Meg, on where she should try to find love in the real world. Robbie wants to know, what sections of the grocery store are the most prime for picking someone up?
Wow.
And what are the signs that a man/woman they're receptive to your attempts?
So we must add here that Robbie kind of addressed this question to me.
Yes,
Full disclosure, I've never actually done this.
Yeah, right, Ty. Come on.
I was shooting from the hip.
Come on.
When I answered the question, I thought it might be a good idea. Now, in fairness, it didn't have legs initially. But then after the show was released, even you came around on that. You said it was a sneaky good answer.
It's not a bad answer. It's just so tricky. It's basically
tricky, yes, but it's a good answer. I stand by that answer wholeheartedly.
You know, in action movies where there is a very select team and they're tasked with an extraction, whether if it's like an antiquity or if it's they're rescuing a kidnapping victim, where they're like, here's the blueprint, here's the plan, here's if things go wrong, the exit strategy.
Right.
It is such a specific thing, and you don't have you won't have control of the object of your potential desire, right?
Right.
And so your plan, both where and how and why and when, and frankly, Ty, from what angle, approach from the left side. Make sure there's no ring. Don't waste your time and shame.
Right.
Approach from the left side. And I do think it's a where and how. So I don't know how much thought you've given this decidedly not single person.
Yeah, right.
But I, not single person, have given it some. Okay. Okay. These are let's start with your don'ts. Okay.
Okay.
I say avoid cereal, avoid crackers. Why? Because they don't elicit anything.
Because
in your brain.
there's cereal and crackers. That's why.
Right. It's just sort of like, oh, we're out of cornflakes. We're out of, Lucky Charms. We're out of Frosted Flakes. We're out of, grape nuts. That doesn't do anything for the synapses in your brain. Same with Wheat Thins, Triscuits, whatever, soda crackers. I would stay away from the meat/butcher.
Now, hold on.
Oh, Ty.
George Costanza said that pastrami is the most sensual of the cured meats.
But that's when you've already sealed the deal.
Okay.
That's a complimentary meat. There is nothing sexy or at least, riveting in some sort of social way about chicken thighs.
Raw meat, possible salmonella, meats. E. coli. I'm with you. I am with you on this, yes.
It is not a visual that you want to associate with new love. Sorry.
Right.
That's me.
I mean, maybe that's your thing, but I tend to agree.
You can't assume.
Yeah.
I would also say bread is sort of a no-fly zone. That's just like are we out of bread? Oh, I guess I should get more bread. How many grains is too many grains? It is a boring, non-sexy part of a grocery store.
Okay. I think we are actually in agreement so far here.
Okay. Here's where I would focus.
Yeah.
Because you want conversation starters. You want somebody's the synapses, once again, to be tingling in a positive way. I would say frozen food is dicey because nobody really spends a ton of time there. It's an in and out kind of thing. And also desserts, great. Yes. Conversation starter. What's your favorite flavor of this? If you see that they have a new flavor of this, have you tried this kind of bar, whatever? Great. Desserts are exciting, Ty. It's sort of like what do you say at the end of a meal? Like when you're trying to decide if you're going to order dessert or not. I shouldn't, but I want it. I shouldn't, but I want it. Here's
the thing about that aisle as well.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of machinery with the freezers.
Little buzz.
Little buzz. Not always the clearest conversation takes place.
Little
in the
breeze.
freezer aisle. Yeah, it's cold. People are uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's an in and out thing.
They're looking to get out of there as quickly as possible. Get what you want. It's a search and destroy mission. It's not a great place to just hang around and start a conversation with a stranger. So I agree with you.
It's got to be dessert area, not frozen French bread pizza area. It's high risk, high reward because it's either exciting and titillating or it's sad and solo.
I agree.
I will say your bakery, great smells. A lot of the time it's, I'm getting cupcakes for a friend. I'm feeling like something sweet and naughty, Ty. Get that bakery on.
Okay. Bakery is not a bad answer.
Busy deli. People waiting around with their number.
Oh.
So they're not in the middle of buying something or looking at a nutrition label.
A little impatient and maybe more receptive to common chit chat.
You know what I would do, Ty? This is me, and it would almost assuredly fail. I would walk up to somebody waiting there, looking like they were in a pretty good mood, and I would say, let me guess, pepper jack. And see where that goes.
That's a Seinfeld move right there is what that is.
It's 100%.
Yeah.
Seinfeld move. Produce isn't bad because you can say, like, how do you actually know if avocados are ripe? There's entry points. Pet food is good because you can talk about pets.
What if you don't have a pet?
Well, then you should not go to the pet food.
Okay. Then.
But it's the old, like, you have a golden retriever, I have a golden retriever. You ever go to this park? We should go.
Okay.
It's tough. I'm not going to say it's easy, but I'm just telling you that's an option. And my final one would just be whatever you consider your brand strengths to be. If you have lots of what you consider to be fun, clever, witty thoughts about hummus, spend some time in the hummus area.
See, Dan, I think you missed the boat on this.
What did I miss?
All the years we've been doing this show, usually you have a very creative answer that I haven't thought through, that I don't think I can go toe to toe with. I think I have the answer here.
What is it?
We're two gentlemen who like to cook. What is your go-to recipe? What would you cook for somebody if you were taking them, on a date?
If they were coming over,
if they were coming over,
them dinner, yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe you've got an Italian dish. Maybe you've got some other kind of dish that you're very proud of. Why not hang around, lurk, not creepy,
why not
creepy
skulk?
Just hang out, casually in the Italian section. We'll talk about some spaghetti sauce. Talk about. Use that as like your entry point to talk about, I use this in my spaghetti sauce and it's really good. And try to build on that and see where you go.
I think that's too ordinary. Not that Italian food is ordinary, but I think the idea of cooking pasta is like, I don't have anything else left, but I have these like shells and marinara.
Well, I'm just
fine. Kind
of along the same lines as your pet food commentary, right? See if you can spin that off into like a future engagement, not literal engagement, but you know what I mean.
I know.
I'm thinking along the same lines, but just in a more human sense, Dan. What do you
dried
cook
pasta
well?
In jars it doesn't get me worked up, Ty.
What do you do well, and can you spin that off into something a little bit down the road?
I'm okay with it if you have lots of clever thoughts about dried pasta and jarred marinara sauce. If you do, that's fine. But I think it's tough because I don't think a lot of people do.
My spaghetti sauce is better with contadina. Just throwing it out there.
How Kate ever landed on you, I will never know.
Where are we going next? Good question, Robbie. Thank you.
Oh, amazing question. Let's go to, I like this question a lot. It's from Chance. I like all of these questions.
That's a great name. I love that name.
It is a good name. As athletic departments continue to invest in graphic design and video production, how much do you think that the quality of a team's media affects the perception of the program to recruits, media members, and fans? How much do you think it enhances the fan experience? And what I think he means by this, and maybe I'm totally off base, graphic design is, a lot of the materials they'll send to kids in the mail, but also you see what's called, like, I feel so old, what the kids are calling edits on Twitter, where the schools will send kids these illustrated versions of themselves wearing a team's uniform with like cool backgrounds and like cool splashy graphics to help kids picture themselves in that, whatever it is, UCLA, Clemson, Texas, Minnesota lifestyle, right?
So, Dan, wouldn't this be essentially Chance's question here? a more superficial application of what we saw go on at Oregon over the last decade and a half.
I think it's under the same umbrella. Yeah.
I think it all kind of classifies. Oregon was able to rebrand itself essentially, or brand itself for the first time as the coolest program in college football. And that paid dividends. It continues to pay dividends. Oregon built itself up now into one of the top 15 college football institutions in America. I think anything that you can do to enhance the packaging of your program is usually a net positive. So whether that's graphics on Twitter or cool video production tricks that you can get an intern to pull off, I think all of that helps. I'm big on packaging.
These schools have full-on vlogs now.
I know. I'm big on how that packaging can help elevate the brand of your program. And so I'm trying not to sound too much like Darren Ravel here, but I do think branding goes a long way, and it can certainly enhance the way that your program is viewed by potential prospects. That's what it really comes down to. I don't know how much it truly enhances the fan experience, other than indirectly, if you get better players to come to your program and you start winning, then it's clearly a better fan experience.
I think it's incredibly savvy to invest in this kind of stuff. And I don't think it's for like Darren Ravel reasons. I think it's for like the most basic human reasons of when you were, and this is not that personal, even though it involves your personal life, when you were dating Kate and things got more and more serious and you were just thinking whatever about the relationship and where it was going. Essentially what you're doing, and this is what I did, I'm not going to put this on you, is you think to yourself, could I picture myself with this person for the rest of my life, right? For a long time. And that's not true of college football. It's not the rest of your life, but it's the act of picturing yourself in a major life decision. And these are means by which schools can say, you don't need to just do this in your head. We can show you what you're going to look like scoring a touchdown in a Clemson uniform. Or even though you live in Georgia, we at Ohio State are recruiting you, and we have this weekly vlog where you see what it's like to be a player in the weight room, in the dorms, playing video games, at practice. You see what the coaches are like. You see what the support staff are like. Things that you might not fully be able to experience during your unofficial or official visit, but you get a sense for, oh, this is how I can picture myself in Columbus as a contributor to Ohio State. And it's a way for the schools to do it without spending basically anything, just in the grand scheme of things, but caring about production value and graphic design and helping to plant seeds. Like if Jody with an eye or Kate, had the opportunity to say, here's a video of what it's going, like all of the good times that lay ahead of you, you'd be like, oh, cool, sweet. We're going to a lake house? Dope.
Yep.
They would have. I think this is it's a very savvy way to sort of not just say things, but show things. Proof of concept.
To a man and woman, but to a person, to a college football fan, most people that I've kind of informed on this matter, talk to them about the infrastructure that takes place, that goes on, that is in place behind the scenes, that takes care of this sort of thing. People are always aghast by it. They always sort of roll their eyes like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. The longer you think about it, the more it makes sense, though. And to your point, the more savvy it becomes. I think it's incredibly savvy. I think branding and packaging and all that stuff that we grow to hate, it is important. Yeah. And whether it's college football or buying stuff at the store, it definitely plays a factor.
And obviously schools are showing kids what they want to show them. They're not showing them any ugly side of anything or anything realistic necessarily. But if Ohio State is showing the kid from Georgia, this is the entirety of the Ohio State experience in as much as we can put into a weekly vlog. And then, I don't know, Purdue is saying, trust us. Purdue and West Lafayette are great. You're going to say, I have a much better concept for Ohio State. Even if I visit West Lafayette, even if I visit, wherever, if Syracuse or Cal, if a school is going above and beyond to try and help you picture what your life would be like at that place, I think it's going to be a significant difference maker.
All right, Dan, we got time for let's say 3 more.
Let's bang, Ty.
3 more. Where are we going?
Through these questions. Let's go to... Have we done a lot out? We had a couple Willie Taggart questions. Let's go to Matt Brown. Not one of at least the 2 Matt Browns working in college football media.
Okay.
But a separate Matt Brown. Jeff Brom and Purdue need to do what to consider this year a success? The schedule looks light to start the year, which maybe. But this is a Purdue team that loses a bunch, especially up front on defense. What do you think is success in a year in which Purdue does not return a significant number of players on defense like Nick Holt did inherit last year, the defensive coordinator for the Boilers?
They finished strong last year, didn't they?
They did.
They finished strong last year, and we had a lot of fun in this program talking about the singularity. Mm-hmm. You remember that? They've got to rebuild their defensive front 7. They lose a lot on the defensive side.
That was the strength of that team.
That was the strength of the team. So I think to some degree, success will be measured by how well the defense performs. If they get run over by the competition, that's going to be an issue. But they got to find some way to rebuild in a hurry and keep themselves respectable on offense. And it's not just front 7. Like, they got issues at cornerback too. It's sort of a defensive shit show, if I can curse a little bit.
Please. Sorry, kids.
Season.
Yeah.
So I think that will be the most obvious point where Jeff Brown's going to have to make some magic. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, though, I would hope that they can continue to take a step forward on offense, because it feels to me like the quarterback position did get a little bit more consistent throughout the course of the season. And that's something that we hadn't seen at Purdue in quite some time. So I would say, just on a very, very basic level, build the defense to a point where it's not going to get blown away. Every time they step out on the field, they can keep the games close and keep the offense at the same level, or maybe take the offense a step further into the future here and get a little bit more production. I'm not looking for Purdue to go like 8-4 this season. I'm just looking for Purdue to achieve a level of consistency that we hadn't seen prior to Brom getting there.
If Purdue makes a bowl game, it's a successful year.
Totally.
It's a totally successful year. The problem is, if Purdue does win 8 games again, or gets to 8 games,
he's gone.
Yeah, I don't know how long he's in West Lafayette.
He's gone.
I mean, there were conversations last year, and he's too good for his own good, or for West Lafayette's own good. But yes, I would be, for as long as he's there, I would be optimistic that he has done a good job marrying a lot of pro passing concepts with understandable looks for 18 and 19-year-olds, and has thus far done a very good job defensively, bringing Nick Holt with him and taking advantage of returning experienced talent. Next question, Ryan. Odds that Georgia can overtake Alabama as the preeminent college football program in the nation during Nick Saban's tenure. I would say, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this. Nick Saban has done what no coach has ever done at Alabama. So
tough to
I'm going to put
one up that.
If I had to put it on a percentage basis, I would say less than 1%. And who in the Big Ten West poses the greatest threat to Wisconsin over the course of the next 5 years? And why is it Purdue/Minnesota and not Nebraska?
I don't think it is Purdue or Minnesota, Dan.
Okay, I have a very convoluted answer. No. The answer is Scott Frost wins the Big Ten in year 2 and takes the job with whoever in the NFL. And Purdue recruits well and manages to keep Jeff Brom, and Minnesota recruits well and manages to keep PJ Fleck. And they're able to find diamonds in the rough quarterback. And Nebraska has to hire Bo Pelini back. I don't know. But then Nebraska's a threat. Yeah. Because Bo Pelini was totally decent in Nebraska, but that would be a mess. I would basically say, if it's not Nebraska, it's because Scott Frost has even overwhelmed the expectations that have been put on him.
Keep your eye on the Big Ten West this year.
It's going to be better and fun.
It's going to be better. It's going to be sneaky good. Sneaky entertaining to watch anyway. Let's leave it at that.
What questions intrigue you? You want to go to Lemon Zest?
We can go to lemon zest, Dan. Go ahead.
Do you want to go to... We've got a lot of good questions here.
We did.
Oh, I know what you want to go to. You want to go to Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh, yeah, I do.
Okay. Will you guys pick a team to follow in the Japanese X League? Asahi Soft Drink Challengers sounds awesome, or the Lixil Deers.
Yeah.
So I will admit, Ty, I did not know what the Japanese X League was.
Did you look it up?
I did look it up.
According to Wikipedia, the X League is the top-level American football league in Japan. Founded in 1971 as the Japan American Football League, it changed its name to the X League in 1997. Here's what you need to know. There are 3 divisions, an X1, an X2, and an X3, which, as college football fans, that kind of sounds familiar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Teams in the 3-tier league are split into East and West and Central divisions. 2 types of teams, one being a company team in which only employees of that particular sponsoring company may participate as a player, and the other classified as a club team for which anyone can try out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part college football, part intramural football, and part just like open club in the city football, Dan.
So when I saw that this was a mix of different types of players in Japan playing American football and was called X, I was really hoping it was a play on the word EX. And I was really hoping that it was only open to former college football players who were not good enough, essentially, or had flamed out or decided to start a comeback at an older age. And it was those players playing with Japanese players, Japanese college-aged players. So I was hoping for Nate Longshore, Lyle Moivau, Austin Arnaud, Ryan Lindley. It has to be doing something. Dan Lefevre, Jevon Sneed.
There is very much a Homer at the bat / Springfield nuclear power plant element to this that I love. They also have relegation and promotion, which is a famous concept here among us college football nerds as to ways they could improve college football. I love everything about this. So I feel like we need to pick a team. Now, I am still not clear, after reading up on it for a good chunk of my afternoon, which are the best teams in this league and which are not the best teams. But I'm thinking that the ones associated with individual companies are probably the more exciting variety. Okay, like the Tokyo Gas creators. I don't know what that means, and I don't know if Tokyo Gas is like a company, but a team named the Gas Creators is pretty damn funny to me.
I can relate, Ty.
We all can, right?
Yeah.
So the Tokyo Gas Creators is up there in my book.
So you have IBM Big Blue, obviously the chess master.
Right.
You have AS or As One Black Eagles.
I like this one. I'm thinking Gladiator. I'm thinking Russell Crowe yelling as one.
The Nojima Sagamihara Rise.
Okay.
The All Mitsubishi Lions. One of my favorites, Bulls.
Just called Bulls.
Bulls. The Elecom Kobe Finnies.
Yeah, okay.
There's the Panasonic Impulse. We've all had that.
What about Club Hawkeye?
Club Hawkeye is pretty good. It is pretty good. They their head coach is Nozomu Nishimura. And so obviously that's a loaded conversation we'd have to have if we became Club Hawkeye supporters. But this, it mostly was just useful for me because I got to remember, like, there's a 71% chance that Cody Hawkins is in this league, right? He almost assuredly, Cody Hawkins and John Parker Wilson are like the Big Ben and Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady of this league.
Does this mean that if you want to play in this league, the company, Mitsubishi, has to hire like Nate Longshore?
Yes, he has to work for them in like the off season.
Just tremendous. By the way, breaking news, Blake Barnett has just transferred to the Asahi Soft Drink Challengers.
I think it's a great fit, Ty.
Oh my God, this is great.
I mean, he'll be in a battle with Riley Skinner. Chandler Harnish might have something to say about his prospects, and don't count out Tyson Lee, Ty. Dark horse.
I need to know more about this league. I really need to know more about this league. We do have listeners that are in Japan who I'm sure are aware of this. So please email in more details in layman's terms so we can understand exactly what's going on here. But right now, I think the As One Black Eagles are
the As One Black Eagles are. It's a strong name. Can we close out with a very quick question?
Yes, please.
Ty, this is from Josh. How do you feel about LaCroix as a beverage?
I have one in front of me.
What?
I literally have one in front of me.
What flavor?
Lime.
And just, you go straight up? Is it cold? Is it in a glass with ice?
It's cold. I'm drinking it straight out of the can, Dan, because I'm a brute.
How many cases of LaCroix do you keep on hand?
Why would somebody ask this question?
I don't personally love LaCroix. I think it might be a heated sort of opinion that people have.
So here is the genesis of me with LaCroix.
Mm-hmm.
I have been to family gatherings where they've either had LaCroix or there's like another brand, Bubbly, basically the same thing.
Okay.
And I was at Wegmans the other day looking to get some drinks in the house, saw LaCroix was on sale and decided I'd pick some up because we just recently had it at a family gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And since we picked it up now, the solid wife said, hey, that's pretty good. Looked at it, no calories, sodium free, no artificial sweeteners. That's what they tell you. That
Sure.
may or may not be true, but hey, that's not bad. Maybe we should get more of that. So ever since, we live right next to Wegmans, we don't have a pallet of it on hand, but at least recently, we've been keeping LaCroix in the house in the fridge. Been drinking it cold out of the can.
Okay. It's for whatever reason, don't care for it. Drank it at a cookout once, or a barbecue for you people who speak English. It just made me thirstier.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have water.
I will say, if you're expecting something sweetened when you drink your LaCroix, I think you're more inclined to have a negative impression of what it is.
Yes.
Because then it just sort of shocks you like, oh, this is the worst soda ever.
Do you know about our pal Stephen Godfrey's invention?
His
LaCroix?
invention?
His invention.
No.
With LaCroix.
Oh.
You're not really a coffee drinker, but
No.
apparently 2 LaCroix enthusiasts mixing a cold brew, and I don't know the ratio, mixing a cold brew coffee, so essentially a more dense iced coffee, with coconut flavored LaCroix can be quite refreshing, and he calls it a Pensacola.
Interesting.
Yeah.
He
Give it a
is
shot. Give it a
he is
whirl.
a creative and dapper gentleman, Stephen
That's
Godfrey.
true. So
On this topic, it has been a while. And if you're listening about an hour and 15 minutes into this monstrosity, maybe you'd also be interested in a LaCroix-related secret verbal.
Oh, okay. So first of all, how do you spell LaCroix?
You spell LaCroix, capital L-A, space, capital C-R-O-I-X. LaCroix. LaCroix, as the French say. We need a secret verbal subject, Daniel.
So the subject will be LaCroix, and
Or a target,
some kind of is it true that you're creating your own flavor in the lab of LaCroix?
Right.
Like how did you get involved with the LaCroix people? You know, what are your early impressions of whatever your flavor is going to be?
Anything LaCroix related, for that matter.
Yeah, anything. I think LaCroix create flavor creation, but yes.
Okay, I can go.
I think it needs to be specific, because then it'll make it seem like there is this very specific rumor about me creating a beverage for this beverage company, and it's not true.
We need a target that we haven't previously secret verbaled.
Okay. I'm scrolling through. Ty, I've got it.
Okay.
So we're going to have people that are listening right now, you beautiful, wonderful people. You're going to tweet something about, I didn't know you're getting your own LaCroix flavor. What's the backstory behind you getting your own LaCroix flavor? How do I get my own LaCroix flavor like you are getting for yourself? To the very talented Mike Golick Jr., Notre Dame related.
Yes.
So do not indicate why you are tweeting about LaCroix to him. You are just doing it. Do not indicate that it's part of the solid verbal. Do not indicate a hashtag, anything like that. Do not tweet us about it.
No.
M. Golick, MGOLIC Jr., so it's JR, 57. M. Golick JR57. Do not leave a trace of the solid verbal.
Do not leave a trace. It's an off-season secret verbal here. Let's talk a little LaCroix with Mike Golick Jr.
M. Golick Jr. 57. JR.
All right, Dan. Well, fun show. We've got pages upon pages of questions. Perhaps we can save this doc and come back to it a little bit later on in the month. So here's the deal. I am moving. I will be moving next week and won't be able to record. So you're going to be back on your own.
Okay, that's fine. I have some ideas. Maybe Mike Golick Jr.
And then hopefully I'll be back the week following from the new studio.
That's amazing.
So there you go. Thank you to everybody who emailed in. We're going to hold on to this document and come back to some of these great questions at some point in the very near future. Don't forget, you can find us always at solidverbal.com. We're also on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Reddit, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. Anywhere where you can find a podcast, you can find the Solid Verbal. We will be with you talking some college football and a lot of other stuff all off season long.
Yes.
In the meantime, for that fine gentleman over there, Dan Rubenstein, for myself, Ty Hildenbrand, thanks again for catching up with us. We'll catch you all in a week. Stay solid.
Peace.